Here are the top 5 lessons that I learned in 2024 as a professional author that I'm definitely going to apply to 2025. Number 1, people don't care. Your editor, your agent, your readers, they don't really care, and they aren't really focusing on when is your next book going to be out. They may think about it for a few seconds, but in general, I think there's a study that says we only give other people 9 seconds of our attention before we're back to thinking about ourselves. We have friends, we have family, we have our own drama in our lives, we have jobs, we have things that we're working on, we have dogs and cats and a yard to keep up and a billion things that keep our lives busy. And in addition, your friends and family, as much as they love you, aren't really hanging on tenterhooks for what's going to happen next with your career. By and large, your mom might, but by and large, your Aunt Ida does not really care. They're busy with their own lives, and the only person that really, really, truly cares about your career is you. Only one that should be really focused on how to take this to the next level is you. And if you aren't focused on that, then how do you expect anybody else to be? So the person that should be investing the most time and energy and connection and emotion into your career is you. You need to invest the time into learning how to write a good book, the energy into producing a good book, and the commitment to finish that book. Then you got to go back in and layer in all of the emotion that is all buried deep inside of you here that nobody likes to talk about out loud. But if you can put it on the page, the reader will really connect with it. That's what makes people care about your book. That's what makes people care about your characters. Secondly, books aren't free. Even if you release it for free, let's say you put your ebook up and you put it out there for free, technically there's still a cost to it. There is a cost in time and energy for the reader. And if they don't finish the book, it's not because it costs too much. It's because you are not providing value for the currency of their time. It works the same way if they're paying $20 for your book or $2 for your book. If they're paying for that and they don't feel like they're getting value out of that currency, then they're going to put the book down and they're not going to read you again. So whether you're giving your book away for free or you're charging for it, you need to provide value to the reader in terms of a great reading experience and an emotional connection and something that makes them think and imagine and really get engaged. Because we read books to escape. We read books to see other worlds. We read books to engage our imagination or to feel emotions that we don't want to feel because we'll see the characters go through it. And if you aren't providing that value, readers will not finish this book and they definitely won't buy your next one. The third thing is that there is no such thing as perfection. There is no perfect word for any sentence. There is no perfect sentence. There is no perfect paragraph. There is no perfect page. Everything that you write is the best that you can do at this moment in time, at this day, at this hour with this book. So if you're sitting there struggling to make page 72 as perfect as possible and you've spent 3 months on it, you're basically stuck in this editing paralysis cycle where you're just going to keep focusing on creating the perfect word, because that's a whole lot easier than finishing the book or putting it out there for it to be judged by the world. So realize that there is no perfect word. There is the word you can put on the page today and keep moving forward. If you don't put words on the page, you do not have a book to work with. You do not have a book to edit. So you have to get words on the page and stop expecting perfection out of every single thing that you create. Number 4, you are not going to love this every single day. When you start treating writing as a career, something that is making you money and becoming a business for you, it loses some of the fun that you had as a hobby. And that's okay, because now you're clocking in, you're writing so many words, you're looking at your marketing plan, you're talking about your cover design or your format design with your team. Those different kinds of things kind of take some of the fun out of it. And here's the thing about it becoming a career. It's a job. And I don't know about you, but when I did have jobs, I could never show up and go, you know what? Not really feeling it today. Don't think I'm going to do any of my work because the muse hasn't really hit me right. I've got kind of a block when it comes to whatever it is I'm supposed to do. You can't do that when it's a job. You have to show up and do your work. And some days the work is easy and some days the work just sucks. It's the same with writing. A lot of this writer's block and waiting for a muse thing, to me, is all about fear. It is about being afraid to put it on the page, because once you put it on the page, you got to release it into the wild, and then people can give you bad reviews or people can reject it. And most of us do whatever it takes to avoid being hurt like that. So if you're waiting for some miraculous blue fairy to come along and bop you on the nose and say, here's all the words you need, probably not going to happen. The only way to get from once upon a time to the end is to show up and write. And accept that some of these pages are going to be crap and you're going to throw them away. Accept that there are going to be days when the writing is difficult as hell and you only get through a couple hundred words as opposed to 20 pages. Accept that there are days that the writing is going to be so easy that you wonder why you ever struggled with it in the first place. And accept that there are going to be places where the book sucks and you're going to have to revise and rewrite it. You are never, ever going to write a perfect first draft that is ready to publish. Never. Every draft can be improved as you go back and you layer and you create that emotional connection that you need in your book. If you've been sitting there blocked for 6 months, then chances are you're either terrified to write because then people are going to judge it, or you're writing the wrong thing and you don't deep down really want to write it. So start trying other things. Write something else. If you're trying really hard to get published in suspense because you think that that's the market you want to write in, but you're not getting anywhere, then sit down and try a romance, or try a thriller, or try a cozy, or try a historical. Try something new and see if maybe you like that better. When I first started out, I was writing all these deep, dark, angsty books, and that was not what made me happy. And it showed on the page. And I would struggle so hard to get those books done because I didn't like writing them. When I latched onto writing romantic comedy, the books just flowed. I liked that little snarky attitude. I liked a little bit of sarcasm. I liked being able to make people laugh. And I loved being able to write a happy ending. When I latched onto that particular niche, I was a super happy writer for many, many years. And then I started to move into other genres. But when I first found that niche, it was perfect for me. And it was like I had slipped into the right pair of jeans. You know what those are like. Like they fit perfectly and you could wear them 24 hours a day. They're the best. So if it isn't working for you right now, either look at whether you are terrified to put your words out there or if you are writing the wrong thing. And then sit down and write anyway, because we all feel that fear. I feel it on a regular basis, and you still have to write anyway. And that's my last lesson that I learned in 2024 that I'm going to bring into 2025. A couple years ago, I decided to pivot into romantic suspense, and I was really terrified to do it. I thought, what if my plots are predictable? What if the books don't do well? What if readers hate them? But I wrote the proposal anyway, and I've since sold multiple romantic suspense novels to HarperCollins. Not every single book has worked really well. They've rejected some ideas that I had and had me expand other ideas, but I have grown as an author because I took that leap into the unknown and tried it anyway. I wasn't sure how it would work out. I was really terrified, but I took the leap anyways. For 2025, I'm going to move a little bit more into another genre. And maybe it'll work out and maybe it won't. But that thrill of trying something new and taking that leap reminds me of what it was like to be a beginning writer. And I'm just as terrified as you guys are that this book will flop, that it will not do well, that nobody will like it, my agent will hate it, my editor will reject it, and that might still happen. It's still out there in the wild seeing what can happen to it. But it's okay, because I did it once, I can do it again. And maybe this isn't the right time, the right market, the right book. That's okay. I can write another one. So don't get bogged down in this exact book at this exact time. Don't be afraid to take risks and write other things and move on to another book. A lot of writers I find get sucked into the quicksand of I must finish this book because this is the one I told all my friends about. Sometimes that's not the right book for you. Sometimes it's not the right path for you. Sometimes you've got to let it go and move on. So as you go into 2025 as a writer, I want you to start taking risks. I want you to start thinking outside the box. And I want you to explore other types of writing. And I want you to stop being stuck in editing paralysis and just let those words go. Somebody out there needs to read your story. Somebody out there needs to be moved by your words. And the longer you keep them in here and not on the page, the less likely it is that that person will hear those words that they need. So write that story, get it out there, and move on to the next one. And if you want more on how to revise your book to be amazing, I've got a 3-part video series that starts with this video right here.